This is Katrin with Disability Rights New York. Welcome to our podcast, Empire State of Rights Closed Captioned. We are here to bring you information on the most relevant topics regarding disability rights and advocacy. Today we have Ben Thapa, staff attorney at DRNY, here to discuss streets and sidewalk accessibility. So Ben, what are the most common accessibility issues regarding streets and sidewalks?
When I talk to my clients, they mention potholes, sidewalk sections that are all akimbo, really steep sections of sidewalks or ramp, gaps in pavement, unexpected obstacles to pedestrian traffic, bad curb cuts or ramps, and people that helpfully but not helpfully hold doors open in a way that stops my clients from getting through. What they want is to be able to go down whatever block they're on and encounter a fairly even sidewalk with curb cuts that let them cross driveways and roads that don't have potholes. When sidewalks and streets have these potholes or big gaps or crooked sidewalk sections, it's possible that navigating these can be physically jarring or painful to the person, damaging to their equipment such as power wheelchairs, walkers, or canes, or stop them from getting where they want to go. Behind these issues is an uncertainty that causes its own problems. Which of these problems I mentioned is going to be there today, tomorrow? How bad will it be? How much energy, time, or money am I going to have to spend to get through? And the answers to these questions usually change day by day or season by season.
So really, when people are leaving their homes, they can encounter any number of these issues, and it must cause a certain amount of stress or anxiety knowing that when they leave their house, they may not have a clear path to get to where they're going.
That's exactly right, Catherine. It's something that always comes up. Am I going to be able to get to work today? Am I going to be able to get to the grocery store? And if I can't get there the way I usually go, how am I going to be able to get there and go around? And so they're always talking about maps. They're talking about people cleaning up things in front of their stores or houses. And this is a really important topic to them.
So it seems like there are many obstacles for people to encounter on their way out. Why are these issues so common?
That's a good question. I believe that roads and sidewalks need maintenance in a way that's different from most of our things. Most of us can fix a wobbly table or a squeaky door, but how many of us can fix a pothole? How many of us set aside budget or time every year to deal with cracked or uneven sidewalks? How often do you see air conditioners or vents sticking out of a window around head height? I've seen scooters or tables on the sidewalk that block the passage of everyone. Also, in terms of action, as people who live in cities and towns, we generally don't make infrastructure and accessibility very high on our list of priorities. We also give a lot of attention, space, and time to cars, making sure there's parking, that the cars can get through, and that pushes pedestrians and people to the edges of the roads, and the edges aren't as maintained as well as the roadways. In part because we don't really ask cities and towns to maintain the sidewalks as well as we do for the roads.
So I think that's a good point, Ben. There's the responsibility of the city, and then there's also the responsibility of the residents. Do you think that most residents know what their responsibilities are for their sidewalks?
I think some people know that they should take care of the sidewalks in front of their properties or businesses, but I think most people need more information disseminated to them about this issue. In general, the cities should be telling people who live in busy areas that they do have this responsibility.
So a little more education from the cities and even maybe some help from the city in order to get those things done.
Yes, that would be perfect. In Rochester, there's a snow clearance program. In Syracuse also, and I think cities are really starting to pick up the value of the cities taking over these things, pay for it by some additional taxes, and people are starting to see how effective these programs can be.
That's great. So can you share some examples of how these accessibility issues are hazardous to people with disabilities?
My clients who use power wheelchairs to travel through cities and towns talk all the time about how potholes, gaps, cracks, uneven sidewalk areas can jolt them or throw them from their chairs. They especially emphasize how much it hurts and how much it scares them. I've had clients be thrown from their chairs even when they were wearing seatbelts. In particular, I had a client who suddenly encountered a gap between the sidewalk and the pavement during a very steep section. That gap and crossing that gap damaged the battery of her wheelchair and made a 300-pound machine unable to be moved. And with that wheelchair inoperable, my client was essentially bound to her apartment for the next 2 months because that's how long the replacement process took. Going to work, grocery shopping, seeing her friends, community gatherings, hobbies were all majorly affected for those 2 months because of 2 seconds on a bad sidewalk. These obstacles are also a hazard because if a hazard stops a person from going one way, they either have to backtrack to take a different sidewalk or street or give up. And if they keep backtracking to go around obstacles over and over again, the batteries in their chairs can run out. And being stranded in the city, especially at night, can be a major issue. So a route changing overnight from being passable to not passable is a very, very serious consideration for my client.
So what are some of the legal requirements for accessible streets and sidewalks?
Ideally, the minimum pathway clearance in front of a home or business should be 36 inches. That allows a person using a power wheelchair or other mobility aid to use that path and for other people to get around them. For places with heavy foot traffic, especially in downtown areas, we should aim for a 60-inch clearance, as this allows everybody to get where they need to go. Parents with young children, people making deliveries, and so on. These clearances I'm talking should be present year-round, not just in the seasons without snow. And all newly installed and altered roadways and sidewalks should have a new style of curb cuts and ramps. What I mean by that is resurfacing the road beyond the normal pothole fill should trigger the installation of these curb cuts and ramps. They should be placed in a way that allows a person with a mobility impairment to get from a sidewalk on one side of a street to another side, essentially every crosswalk area. There are requirements for gentle slopes that would mean an upward slope of about an inch for every horizontal foot. There's also a requirement for the nubbly bumps or the truncated domes, as those help people find the crossing spots or gain traction when it's slippery.
I think these are really great points to kind of hit home that even with snow, we're looking at 36 inches, which is 3 feet. But the best amount of space is 60 inches, which is 5 feet. And I would think that is far beyond what people who are shoveling or maybe putting signs outside on the sidewalk might think about. Oftentimes I see, passable areas that are only maybe a foot in width. Are these requirements written down anywhere?
Usually they are in city codes. They're definitely in the ADA accessibility standards disseminated by the federal government. They are online almost at any place that deals regularly with disability issues and access issues. And places like this podcast are also serving to tell people about these standards.
So how can these accessibility issues be resolved?
The removal of obstacles from travel paths is a major step forward. I'm talking about light poles, air conditioners, tables, chairs, bikes, scooter racks. They all need to be in a place that do not encroach on a travel path. The 36 or 60-inch sizes of travel paths should be constantly maintained because they help everyone get in and out, not just people with motor impairments or visual impairments. The curb cuts need to meet the minimum standards for accessibility and should be installed whenever the roadways are being resurfaced or upgraded. And the sidewalks and gaps in front of property should be fixed by the property owners before they get really bad.
So we've talked about what the cities and towns can do. What can residents and the public do to help with these accessibility issues?
Since it's currently February 2019, I'll talk about clearing snow and ice first. I ask people to try to clear at least a 3-foot path through the snow and ice, and if it's a high traffic area, aim for 60 inches. If you can, take the time to call cities to complain about places along the travel routes that do not clear snow and ice in a timely manner. In New York City, the city actually wants you to call 311 and provide a specific address. The same goes for many, many cities across New York. And I know that sometimes it might seem that these calls sound like nagging or nitpicking, but the cities want you to call because people have a right to access the streets and sidewalks where they live, and we need everybody to take that seriously. If you own or operate a business or a house in a city or town, you are likely responsible for the maintenance of the sidewalk in front of it. And having a good sidewalk helps everybody get in, everybody of all shapes and sizes come into your business, and it's everybody's best interest to give priority to this maintained.
So Ben, can you tell us what resources are available to anyone who comes across an inaccessible area or has a question regarding streets and sidewalk accessibility requirements?
Yes. The easiest place to find these is to refer to your city code or ask the city and town administration. In this internet age, it's pretty easy to find your specific city code online or find the phone number of your city administration to ask these questions about accessibility guidelines. Most cities and towns now have short pamphlets or flyers online that explain exactly what the legal responsibilities are, what the clearances are, when the snow and ice should be cleared, who to report problems to, and what the fines and penalties are for not dealing with these problems.
Ben, this is great information. Thank you so much for your time and coming to talk to us again. Is there anything else you want to tell us about this issue today?
One of the things that I learned about these issues when talking with my clients is that they've been living in cities for 20 years or 25 years. There are certain areas of town where they've never gone to. It's not because there's crime or because they don't want to go. It's because they can't get there. That really, really should spur change in how we handle things, because as citizens, we should be able to get to where we want to go within the places we live.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you so much, Ben. We appreciate you having you in here. We'll talk to you again soon. All right, everyone. We just had a lot of great information here about sidewalks in cities. Let's keep the information flowing. Tell us about your experience in your city. Comment below and let us know what city you're from and what accessibility issues you're having. Make sure you tag DRNY and share this podcast on your social media platforms. Empire State of Rights Closed Captioned has been brought to you by Disability Rights New York, your source for disability rights and advocacy. If you enjoyed our program, and we hope you did, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this post. If there is a subject you would like us to discuss, please email podcast@drny.org. Tune in next time where we'll bring you more information on disability rights in the state of New York. The closed caption version of this podcast is available on our YouTube channel.